Hanford Dixon Show. I'm Gabriella Cruz alongside the top dog.
That was a season-ending
Is there
bark.
a little relief in that bark?
Yeah, but it really is. I mean, it really is because
It was starting to get tough.
You and I are just down. I mean, we're just down because again, 14. We lost 14 games. I mean, we lost 14 games. Where did you watch this thing at? And what was going through your mind when you was watching this game?
This game was like background. It was not. Yeah. No one was. We were like.
Did you even watch it? Wait.
Games.
That's what I want to. Did you? Because and if you didn't,
when there were certain exciting moments. Like, why was the one moment that I was most excited about was that 345-pound. Was it a nose guard?
Yeah, nose guard. I think
who made that interception and
Michael
slid
Pierce.
on the ground. I'm just like. That was the highlight of my night, and it had nothing to do with us. It was just, it's one of those plays you're always kind of like, that's awesome, and I couldn't hold back.
Well, let me say this again. I firmly believe if you were quarterback in this team, and if you were the quarterback, you would not have thrown that football. Because how could you miss him?
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is huge. I mean,
he takes up a lot of real estate.
And you had me laughing so hard when you said that he was running out of breath. He couldn't run anymore, so he decided to take a slide. I was worried about him maybe hurting himself during that slide.
We were talking about it, and if you picture yourself in his shoes, he had to think like, all right, I got to get down quick because there's no way I'm going to be making
He's a hell of a player. I mean,
incredible.
He's that big guy that Baltimore obviously used right there in the middle to plug up the run. I was giving you a hard time about the game and not watching the game. But,
what did you do for the game?
Well, that's what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to confess. I actually had to be in Canton at, I think it was like 6:30. I had to be in Canton, and so I was in the car, and I was driving down there, obviously, while the game was going on. And I had to do something for Daystar, which is Ford. It's a Ford dealership.
Oh, okay.
And Wendy and her husband, they had this big party for all their employees. And just went down there, and it was, I tell you what, Wendy and Matt, it was pretty good. The food was just absolutely delicious.
I know how we are about our food.
Now, I'll tell you, when you know the food is good, is that when I left there, I took a to-go plate.
Oh, yeah. There it is.
I told one of the ladies that was working there.
Forget about the Browns. I'm interested in a to-go plate.
Yeah,
there are bigger matters that you had to handle.
Yeah, I whispered in the ear, and I said, can I have a to-go plate? But then, it was funny because everybody was talking to me, and they was like talking about the game, and then someone came over, well, I guess when the game was over, and they came over and they told me what the score was. And I wasn't surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, because this was a big game for Baltimore, because obviously Baltimore needed this game in order to win the division. And it's going to be funny. We're going to get into that.
Were you surprised? I mean, we will get into it, but were you kind of surprised that they kept their starters in for so long?
I was not. For
the whole game, really.
I was just, I know when Harbaugh was just sitting there, him and everybody else, Eric DaCosta, obviously Ozzie Bisciotti, who is the owner. I know all of them while they were looking at this game, and they kept the starters in that long. They were just on pins and needles because you don't want anybody to get hurt,
right?
Because the season is getting ready to start when the playoffs starts.
Yeah.
And maybe a little surprised, but they really needed this ball game. They had to get this game. They had to win this ball game. And then, Gab, you have to understand this too. You have a lot of those guys that don't make as much as Lamar is making, or some of the other guys on the team. This is when they have this last game to hit a lot of their incentives.
Okay, yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so I thought it was.
That's what I was thinking about Jerry Jeudy. I was like, this guy was a man on fire, and maybe it's to hit his incentives.
Yeah, well, and like you told me, he broke Ozzie's record. Ozzie had that record for 89 receptions in a single season for a long, long time, and obviously Jerry just took over that with 90 receptions. So. But I was watching one of the games, and I thought it was just I think it was the Tampa game. And I thought that was amazing what they did because he needed, I think, what did he need, Pat? Like 6 yards or something like that?
Yeah, Mike Evans, he needed 80 yards in the game, and I believe or maybe it was 90, but he, the very last play of the game, instead of kneeling it out, they threw it to him so he could get his $3 million bonus, guys.
Right.
$3 million
Right.
for 9 yards.
Wow, that's a pal right there.
Did you see Gabby's face when you said that?
Unbelievable.
What a pal. Could you imagine? Like, I wonder how in the weeds it gets. Like, does someone ever be like, yeah, if you can get this to me, then I'll give you 10%. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
you just wonder.
Oh, but it's again, to answer your question, I wasn't surprised and I was surprised, but you see a lot of those guys, they want to help their teammates out.
Yeah, I think it's really cool.
Especially some of them that's not making as much money that they're making.
Yeah.
And trust me, all of them are making money, but like that whether it's a $250,000 bonus or $500,000 bonus or $1 million bonus, or like Pat said, a $3 million bonus.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But but anyway, that's where I was. I was down in Canton, and I was so tired too. And then I thought about it. I got to leave here and go back, and then the weather's not the best. So
yeah, this weather is crazy. I had a little incident on the way in here today.
Did you?
Thankfully, no flat tires though.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I have a Jeep too, and I should have had it in 4-wheel drive.
See, your problem is, here's your problem. You think just because you have a Jeep, you're one of those drivers.
I took a turn too. So on the marginal, you know how we have to weave. We have a road that's blocked, and the marginal, you got to do the little weaving.
Yeah.
I took a turn too tight. And then I just fishtailed right out. No one was around. I went over the curb. I was like,
but see, you would be like blowing the horn at me on the freeway when this weather's that bad, because I'm not driving fast and I don't care what you say.
Listen, I drive slow in this weather. The weaving though is important too. You got to slow way down. So you're right to that. Maybe I'd be taking the turns a little too fast.
Well, and I want to say this: I haven't talked to you guys or seen you guys since Alabama lost.
Oh, I'm glad that you brought it up.
Alabama
we thought we were
lost
going to have to pin you down and just say, hey, buddy.
Well, you know
what else did you notice about the New Year?
Hey, guys, I thought I was thinking about bringing a flag in here today and just waving the flag and just said, I give up. It's been a bad year for the SEC. I mean, a really bad year, and it's been a really good year for the Big Ten. And I don't care what anyone says, if Ohio State don't win, that if Ohio State is not the national champion, there is a problem. I mean, there is really a problem, because obviously they have 2 games to go. The only team I see that possibly can beat Ohio State would be Texas. And Texas is the last team in the SEC that's still
standing.
And who would have thought?
6-point favorites.
Listen to this. Who would have thought Notre Dame? Get the hell out of here. Notre Dame? So I got to give them their props too, Pat. I mean, I have to give them their props. Notre Dame is still in this thing.
Yeah, they play a tough brand of football, guys. You wouldn't really think it, because Notre Dame has been a little bit soft in the past couple of years. We got to get our guy, Big Play Jack, to come back in here to refute that on me. But but you don't think of Notre Dame being like Smash Mouth sort of deal. But they're playing really tough physical football right now. It's actually kind of cool to see. It can be interesting, because that's exactly how Penn State plays too.
Yeah.
So that matchup they've got coming on this Thursday, I don't know, man.
That should be a good game.
They're enjoyable to watch.
That should be a really, really good game. But I knew Oregon wasn't going to beat Ohio State. I just knew that. Ohio State is just too talented of a football team. But you don't want Ohio State to go back and fall into a shell, because they can easily fall into a shell. We know that Ohio State right now, if they keep peaking the way they're peaking with the players they have on that football team, they should win the national championship, and there's no excuse right now. Absolutely no excuse.
Ohio State's for the taking. All right, we're going to take a short break. We'll be back with more Hanford Dixon Show right after this. Welcome back to the Hanford Dixon Show. It's time for some Browns headlines, brought to you by our friends at Northeast Factory Direct. They've got the kitchen cabinets, the hot tubs, mattresses, and way more for so much less than what you'll find at those fancy, expensive retail stores. And Hanford, people can shop online at northeastfactorydirect.com or visit any of the stores in location like we did at Cleveland, or you can visit Euclid, Macedonia, or North Canton. And just don't forget to ask about that Hanford Dixon bonus. What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to talk about Northeast Factory Direct. I was going to,
He said hold on.
Because I mean, I was just gonna say how great they are, but you just cut me off and just let me know to shut up. And see how I obeyed your orders? I shut up. Oh my goodness!
This is the point in the season where I think we're fighting over one last brain cell.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you though, before we jump into anything else. Has this season been a major disappointment for you too?
I think this season was such a disappointment because if you look at where we were last year and the pieces that we had in place for this year, it was just kind of like none of it made sense for this to be the year that we were 3-14. And then the other thing, Browns finished the season with a worse point differential than the 0-16 Browns team, and countless other interesting fun facts, stats like that, which aren't exactly fun.
You know what I think is going to be? I think what's going to happen is, and I would be shocked if he didn't do this. I think what's going to happen is Stefanski's going to, obviously, he's going to hire a offensive coordinator, but it wouldn't surprise me if he wouldn't just take back over the reins of calling the plays. I think that's probably what's going to happen. And, I was thinking of this, Gab, and I wanted to run this about with you and Pat. And the Browns, obviously, they just picked, I think they picked, or they're getting ready to pick 2024 Fan of the Year. And I was listening, I think, to some guy, Larry Smythe or something like that. I think he's going to be, I tried to locate him because I was going to, I wanted to have him on the show. But we're going to do a little segment, Where Are They Now? And there's two people I'm thinking about. And you may not remember these people, but there was a lady, Bone Lady. Where are you, Bone Lady? Anybody, you guys that are watching our show right now, tell the Bone Lady that we're looking for her.
Okay.
We are looking for Gap. She was
That's a PSA. You heard it here first.
Yeah, let me tell you about her, Gap. She would show up at every single game, and she had obviously she had on this little Browns outfit, but she had a bone, but she had this hat. This hat was just so crazy. And
we need to do like a
Somebody
knows who we're talking about.
But she was the Bone Lady. I guarantee you everybody knows who I'm talking about. And also, maybe you've heard about this guy, the Big Dawg. You remember that guy?
Oh yeah.
You remember the Big Dawg? And Gap, he would be right on in the dog pound, right on the front row, and I can't think of two people that were bigger fans of the Cleveland Browns than these two these two people. So anybody out there anybody watching this show know who I'm talking about, Big Dawg and Bone Lady. Tell them to get a hold of us here because we would love to hear their thoughts and see and find out what they've been up to. Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, guys, give a quick shout out to Larry, his NFL Fan of the Year. He was awarded 2 tickets to the Super Bowl.
Oh, yes.
I love that the NFL does this because it's a lot of time investment in being a fan. And, we talked with Darren, Brown season ticket holder in the dog pound.
Yeah.
It wasn't great. I was at the Browns-Dolphins. That was not very fun. I know you're on the sideline, Hanford, but these people are so dedicated, and it's just unbelievable to see, It's cool to, give them some Super Bowl tickets. That's unbelievable.
And Browns fan, I don't care what anybody says. They could say what they want to say. We have the greatest fans.
That's the thing.
Anywhere in the
Fans
world.
that really are so loyal and paying their money, standing out in the cold, and just showing their loyalty year after year.
And that's why we've been bringing on the Browns backers, because the Browns backers are all over the world. I mean, absolutely all over the world. And that's why we've been giving that special moment pretty much to a lot of them on here, just to let them know how much we appreciate them. But again, Bone Lady and Big Dawg, please get a hold of us because we want to have you on the show. We want to know what you're up to. I mean, come on. Big Dawg sitting right in the front. Frank and I, it was the old stadium. We used to come. You remember the Browns used to play there, and also then it was the Indians. Now it's the Guardians. But the Indians used to play there too. And we used to come out of that dugout. And every single game, we would come out of that dugout together. A couple of times we had the fur coat on, and
of course,
and then we would,
you did.
And then we would go all the way down.
Where are the throwback picks when we need them?
Yeah, we would go all the way down to the dog pound, and then we would talk to Bone Lady and the Big Dawg and a lot of the other fans, and we were just drawing so much energy, so much strength from those guys. Wasn't that nice? Wasn't that nice? I'm trying to talk fast because I don't want Pat. I know he's trying to find that picture.
Oh, dude, I'm going to find this. I just found it.
Don't you dare pull.
He's got it.
Give me 1 second. I got this right here.
I know that's what he's
got
doing.
Something good for us.
Frank would have the short one on, and you see my long coat. Look at that.
Oh my gosh.
Look at that long coat.
No way. No
Classic
way.
stuff right here. That's courtesy of your Instagram, by the way. Follow Hanford Top Dog.
Yeah.
Hanford, that is incredible.
And don't forget, on
Is that why you have such style? You should see his boots he's got on today. We were just talking about
on
it.
Instagram at Hanford-Dixon.
Oh, God. We gotta take a break. You're crazy. We'll be back with more Hanford Dixon show right after this.
That was fun.
Welcome back to the Hanford Dixon Show. We're going around the AFC North. We can start. Hanford, how about with the Bengals and the Steelers game?
Boy,
I know you caught that.
Yeah. I mean, it was just, again, I'm just getting chills just thinking about those two games. And the Bengals game, it was a good game. I mean, It was a good game. The thing that surprised me about the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, Pat, is that 4 games in a row they've lost?
Yes, it is.
4 games in a row they've lost. And going into the playoffs right now, they're leaking oil. I mean, they really are. And I guarantee you, Mike Tomlin is just going absolutely crazy. Have you watched him talk on did you see the Hard Knocks show where Tomlin is talking to his team? I mean, he's such a great motivator. Yeah. I mean, he just talked to those guys like he's talking to like one of his boys or something, and he'll make them. You've heard the old saying, a head coach will make you run through a brick wall.
Yeah.
His guys would probably run through a brick wall for him. That's why I'm a little bit surprised of this football team and where they are right now. How many games they've lost in a row, because
it does seem unlike a Tomlin.
It really is, and obviously they they're still in the playoffs. That's the main goal, to get in the playoffs. But Joe Burrow, I mean, he is just playing right now out of his mind. And I just can't get over Pickens.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Is he a nut?
The answer is yeah.
I think the answer is yes. This guy is a nut.
Pat, did you watch him?
Yeah, he was trying to fight a fan on the sideline, guys. I mean, he was not running his routes again. I don't know what it is that attracts these wide receivers to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
You get Antonio Brown, you get Martavis Bryant, all these guys, but it's kind of a testament actually to Mike Tomlin, don't you think?
I know, because I was going to say, and how do you think Mike Tomlin?
Well, here's the crazy thing about it. The game is going on. Right. You got a game, and you have bigger fish to fry on the football field. You're trying to win a game, and you're over there. I mean, there's nothing a fan could say to me to make me respond to him. I mean, I would ignore that mess right now. I got to be with my boys. We have to win a game. This is important, because if they win the game and the Baltimore Ravens lose, they have a shot then of winning the division. Yeah. And he's a fan? What's that coach? Was a fan? He's on a fight with a fan. That's what
doing the old Jim Mora.
Yeah. That's what remind. Yeah, that's what remind me of that. But
I was even gonna go practice.
Well, yeah, the same thing.
Allen Iverson.
Yeah, same thing. But it was a great game. It really was a good game, and
the Ravens and Steelers are going to be our wild card matchup.
Well, yeah, and real quick, before we jump on that one, the Bengals did what they had to do. Yeah. I mean, they had to win that game in order to have any shot of getting an invitation to the party, and obviously they won, but it still didn't matter. But that other game, just like you just mentioned,
that's gonna be a good game.
The Browns.
What's your boy Ozzy saying?
And, well, he's all excited, and I guarantee you, like Pat, and like you, he's not too happy about how long that the starters had to play, because the more they play, they have an opportunity, or there's an opportunity they can get hurt. And one of the guys, Flowers, went down with a knee injury during that game, but my understanding is it's going to be hard to keep him out of this game coming up. And Baltimore, who would have thought? I think they got the number 3 seed, and for them to come back and play the way they played and win the division, is saying a lot about the Baltimore Ravens. And here's the problem.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about the Baltimore Ravens. And I like the Baltimore Ravens because obviously because Ozzy's there, but they still are the old Browns. You know what I'm saying? But the Baltimore Ravens are peaking right now at the right time. And see, their problem was their defense wasn't playing well. Right now, that damn defense is humming. I mean, it is humming. They are coming, and they're playing. You got Humphreys, who's playing really good. Once they moved Kyle Hamilton, number 44, and I mean, whatever, Kyle Hamilton, once they moved him to free safety, I'm telling you that defense is because he's got so much range back there. They've been playing, I'm telling you, they're playing extremely well right now. Extremely well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, talking about that big man interception, guys. How about that? What was his name? Michael Pierce, 345 pounds?
Yeah.
You said your track background, Gab, but do you think you can move like him? He's fleet of foot. Let's put it that way.
He's more like
he was quick with it.
He's more like 365.
Yeah. His playing weight.
Let's hear if he does anything.
Listen to this, guys.
Did I want to try for 6? So there's a long history of turning big guy interceptions and fumbles and all that stuff into memes. So at the risk of ruining a career play like that for myself, it's time to go home. So the bus was out of gas. We good. I'm glad I caught it.
The bus was out of gas, guys.
The bus was out of gas.
The bus was out of gas.
But S word. You know what I'm saying? I say, oh my God, he really threw this football. So no, I got fairly decent hands. I'm glad I caught it. And like I said, Coach preached a smart football, and like I said, I don't want to end up on a meme on Instagram, my wife and everybody laughing at me.
That is so awesome.
Guys, I can't tell you, and you have to be in one to understand what I'm talking about. After a win like that, and after a win when everybody know you're in the playoffs or you're going, it's just so much excitement.
Yeah.
And you just feel that brotherhood. I mean, everybody's got each other's back right now. And one thing leave it all on the field. We need everybody, every single play.
Yeah.
Every single play. Give it all you got.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be back with more Hanford Dixon Show right after this. Welcome back to the Hanford Dixon Show. It's time for our Lipton Hard Iced Tea Hard Hit of the game. And Hanford, I don't know. I'm thinking it was a hard hit for Ken Dorsey. We just had these recent firings. What do you think?
Well, it's funny because I was thinking, I'm still thinking about Michael Pierce. That to me,
a hard hit.
To me, that was a hard hit when he hit the ground. 300.
He was so cute talking about, I didn't want anybody to make a meme out of me, Like the fact that he had the foresight to think that over a play that just so rarely takes place is so funny.
And they're saying, like you said, they're saying 345. I guarantee you he's north of 365.
Yeah.
He is a
Depending on where you read, it's give or take 10 to 20 pounds.
He gave out of gas. He ran 10 yards and he was done. That's why I can't get up. But you're exactly right. Dorsey and and Dickerson, that was definitely a hard hit. I mean, big time hard hit, those two guys. And a lot of people come up to me and they ask me, was these guys scapegoat or something?
Right.
And I don't know. I just knew that somebody had to take a fall for the way this offense has been performing. And I think the stats you read out earlier just pretty much states it all. I mean, this team, they just couldn't score. Couldn't score points. Defensively, played well at times in spurts, but offense was just absolutely horrible. And boy, they didn't waste any time, did they? Mm-hmm. I think probably before he even got back to Cleveland, they must have fired this guy, Dorsey.
Yeah, they're quick with it. So these all these things with the.
And just like I told Greg, I said if Dorsey would have came to me and told me that he wanted me to take over the play calling duties, I'd have said no way, because one thing I knew, if it didn't go right, and somebody was going to have to take the blame for this whole
and you wonder if that was the whole positioning all along.
But I could see, first of all, why did we bring Dorsey in anyway? It's not like he's got had a great track record. I mean, that's the problem I have. And then this and Dickerson. I mean, this offensive line, guys. I mean, it was just terrible. I mean, it was absolutely terrible. So I could see them not getting along. I could see them parting ways. But this football team, we just have so many areas that we need to improve.
Guys, I'll put this tweet up on the screen here as well. Look at these stats. 15.2 points per game, dead last. 29 touchdowns, dead last.
Yeah.
4.6 yards per play, 31st. Negative 10-point differential. That's unbelievable.
Well,
how is this so much uglier than I just don't.
Makes more sense to see him go though now.
Yeah.
Well, I want you guys to know. You talked about Bill Callahan. I placed a call to him and begging him to come back and help this up. Because guys, listen to me. There's a possibility Joe Bitonio will not come back to this team. There's a possibility. Switching to the defense, Myles Garrett will not come back to this team. There's a possibility Denzel Ward may not come back to this team. There's a possibility if we don't straighten this shit out, Gab, we are going to lose a lot of those players.
And this organization knows it. Let's take a break. We'll be back with more Hanford Dixon Show right after this. Welcome back to the Hanford Dixon Show. We are so excited to bring back one of our guests from last year. It's a Hanford Dixon Show friend. We've got Greg Pruitt, former running back for the Cleveland Browns, 9 years with the Browns. And if you don't know about Greg Pruitt, 4 Pro Bowl selections, rushed for more than 1,000 yards 3 times, definitely established himself as a pass-catching threat out of the backfield. Thank you, Greg, for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me.
Hey, Gab, he just ran through the studio, and I tried to grab him, but he had on one of those tearaway jerseys. So I couldn't get a hold of him, Gab. So and so I'm still upset about that. So he went on to score. You know that, don't you?
Oh yeah, that's the thing we actually ended up talking about with Greg last time you were on was that infamous tearaway jersey. And
I did not like it. I wasn't a fan of the tearaway.
King, please.
And the reason why is because once the defense realized I had one on, the problem was I thought it was an infraction of the rule if you tear my jersey off on purpose. And it wasn't. The infraction was now I had to go change my jersey.
Right.
So I spent a lot of time. They meet me halfway, changing jerseys, putting it on, getting in the huddle, and they calling a play. And a lot of times they call a play to me. And that was a distraction for me because I like to concentrate on the point of attack. Every play has a key blocker. Sometimes that key block may not be made by a guy that can make that block. So you have to adjust your running style accordingly.
And Gab, as a defensive player, we wanted to tear that jersey off and hoping that he's going to miss a play or two.
Yeah, they would do that. They would do that. Down a situation, they would just tear my jersey.
Now, you two played together in 81. We were just checking the stats. Producer Pat and I were kind of looking up. We're like, okay, so what was that year you two played together? 81.
Gab, don't start him. Please don't start him.
Come on, Greg. What do you remember about Hanford?
That's all we need for you to start him out on me,
Hanford really reminded me of me in terms of confidence.
Yeah.
He came in here, he was the guy, and, he shut everybody down and just bring on a new guy. That was kind of his attitude. And so when he got to camp, we had Paul Warfield, who was from Colorado? Dave Logan, most of those, and Reggie Rucker.
Yeah.
Most of these guys had played at least 9 or 10 years in the league. So they had lost a step or so. But it didn't matter to Hanford. He didn't give him no slack. He just jumped all over. So we played the New York Jets. He don't like this story.
No, I don't.
Yeah, story time. This is what we were hoping for.
We played the New York Jets, and I'm from Texas. And there's a guy from Texas that played with the Jets. His name was Johnny Lamb Jones. Johnny Lamb Jones might have been faster than Bob Hayes. Now, if you're from Texas, you would know that. If you're from Alabama, you might not know that. So I took it upon myself prior to us playing the Jets to bring Hanford to the side and offer my services. I said, don't make a mistake, Hanford. By no means am I faster as Johnny Lamb Jones. I said, but for 2 or 3 steps, I can show you some quickness to where you got to react. So he cut me short, told me it wasn't my problem. In fact, he didn't have a problem. It was Johnny Lamb Jones' problem. I said, oh, okay. All right. So we played the Jets. And I always had a habit of sitting on my helmet right on the sideline in front of our bench. And the Jets came out and had a 2 completion, which put the defensive backs right out in front of me on the field. And I hear this psst, psst, psst. So I'm looking around, I'm trying to figure out in the football who's doing that. And so finally I located and followed is Hanford. Hanford's on the football field
during a game.
In a defensive back position to defend the ball.
And my goodness.
He's peeing me. I said, what, Hanford? He said, when do I know when this guy want to go long? I say, Hanford, from what I've seen, anytime he want to. I can't tell you what he told me after that. It was X-rated.
I'm telling you guys this is
this is so funny because of your personality.
Hey, Gab Pat, this is the honest God truth. Johnny Lamb Jones was a world-class sprinter. I mean, he had to be one of the fastest guys I ever played against in my life. And he was getting up on me so fast. When I'm looking at Greg, I said, you know what I said to myself? I was sitting there thinking, I said, maybe I should have taken Greg up on his offer during practice. And then now it's too late because we're in a live game. And this
you're
guy,
right in the thick of it.
Oh, that was, I was hoping you didn't tell that story. You know I hate it when you tell that story. But I'm telling you, that is a true story.
That is so funny. I'm glad you both remember this as clearly as you do, and that you can laugh about it still today because it's a gem.
King, tell us these Browns, man. I mean, tell me.
Well, Hanford, listen. If you do a summary of the Browns, and you got to first ask yourself a question: how did we go from 11 wins to 3 wins? That's a question that has to be answered. And so, some of it is injuries. I looked it up. I mean, we've had a whole lot of people hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know how true that is with other teams, but for us, it seemed to be a problem that presented a problem, caught us kind of unprepared. Sometimes injuries can be a plus for a guy who probably is only getting an opportunity to play because the guy in front of him got hurt. That happened to me. I got a chance to play in college because the guy in front of me got hurt. And that was the opportunity that I needed, and I never looked back. So if something happened to the Browns 3 years ago, with the offensive lineman coach, Coach Callahan. Mm-hmm. And ever since he's been gone, our offensive line
gone downhill.
Has gone down. And it may be, sometimes you got these coaches that are real, real tough on you. I've had them. Hanford, you've had them.
Yeah.
They were hell of a coaches. They made us do what we didn't want to do. We were mad at them, but they made us better players. And I think maybe this new coach made the mistake of not pushing these guys. And sometimes you're a young guy, you're new to the game. This guy's been in the game 6 or 7 years. It's hard to coach or tell them what they need to tell. But that is a problem we got to deal with, and hopefully they bring a coach in here that can change that. You can't do anything if you don't have an offensive line. You got young quarterbacks. I was saying this morning on my show that, and Hanford, this too. When you come into the game is fast.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like trying to cross the freeway. You don't know how. But as you watch film and you play games, things start to repeat themselves. Guys start to defend the same way. Teams start getting in the same defensive fronts. And so now you recognize it, and because you recognize it, it starts to slow down for you. And once you do that, there's a chemistry. Hanford knows, playing defensive back, that them guys got to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
And they play with each other so much that they almost know what each other's weaknesses and what each other's strengths are. And sometimes you can push a receiver to the guy's strength rather than to his weakness, and that makes you a better secondary overall. Once we got some people hurt, then I started seeing some busted coverages, and people took advantage of it.
Well, you know what was interesting, and you hit it right on the head when you were talking about the injuries, the amount, how many injuries we had. You know, I'm going to go back. I'm going to shoot this one at you. The game that we watched last night, talking about Detroit and Minnesota. Now, you look at Detroit. I don't think there's a team in the league that's had as many injuries as Detroit here. But, King, it goes back to coaching now. Did you see how he had those guys ready to play? I'm talking about, and you know the Browns, we always hear them talk about it all the time, next man up, next man up. Now, you talking about next man up. They stepped up last night talking about those Detroit Lions.
Sure did. Hanford is called culture. These coaches got to develop a culture, and that culture is self-inflicted wounds, mental mistakes are not tolerated. We know everybody's not perfect, but you can't keep repeating that same mistake because there's a consequence. And I don't think these guys realize that because they keep making the same mistakes. I say one of the simplest adjustments that I saw is you got guys not lining up on the ball.
Crazy.
Over and over and over. So I said, if I was a coach, I would go to the center and I would jump on the center. He going to ask me, why you jumping on me? And I'm going to say, because you can't be outside.
Look down that line.
I'm making you responsible for the guy next to you to be next to you and not to step behind you. And the tackle and the guard, you guys are responsible for that. And that's a solution to the problem.
King, what did you think of that Dorsey firing? I mean, let me tell you what I said. If I was Ken Dorsey and Stefanski came to me, I think it was somewhere in the middle of the season. If Stefanski came to me and said, I want you to take over the offensive coordinator duty, because you know what, that's his title, but we all know he wasn't the offensive coordinator, but that was his title. I'd have looked at him, said, Coach, I would rather not, because I know one thing I would know. If this shit is not working right now,
he gonna blame him.
He gonna blame him.
Well, most of I'm gonna give the Cleveland Brown fans a little credit. They know what's going on.
Right.
I mean, you know what? You can say you can change positions or titles, but if the game on the field don't change, the plays on the game don't change. That's the same guy calling.
Yeah. Man, I could not believe it when I say he is fired Dorsey, but there's no way he could have given me that play.
Well, hopefully they'll bring a guy in here and be more tougher on the offensive line, and we'll reverse what we had year before last. I mean, we had a hell of a line. We ran the football. Again, injuries came in, and that kind of changed things. And we've never really made a commitment, a run. You know, I'm a running back. You got to run the football. You can't have an RPO. The R stands for run. You can't have it and don't use it.
Yeah.
So everybody, is talking also about Nick Chubb. And Hanford, you and I had a conversation whether or not he was back or not. And with Nick Chubb, it's nothing normal about him. You can't take a normal situation and say that's Nick Chubb, because what he's come back so far is amazing. The things that they have you do to prepare yourself when you're coming back from a knee, I've done. And so I'm amazed at him squatting the way that he squats. Now, one of the things, and I had this conversation with Nick Chubb, and he told me I was right. He said he could believe that I was telling him that. I said, Nick, I had a knee surgery. I went through a lot. And one of the things is very clear. I don't ever want to go through that again. I don't know if I can go through that again. So you think that way, you become real defensive, and when you get out on the football field, your natural instincts come back and overwhelm you, make you forget that your leg is hurt. You react to the defense. You ain't got time to worry about your knee. You got to worry about them. And then you realize that you're making the moves that you thought you or wasn't sure of that you can make again. Now, he's not 100%, but he was very close. This foot injury, he can come back from that. He's been through a lot of that. But now, one of the things he represents in terms of as a teammate and how his work ethic is critical for the team. The other people need to see how hard he works. I think it would be a mistake to trade Nick Chubb or not invite Nick Chubb back.
Gab, I'm glad he mentioned that because Greg and I had that conversation. That was the question I asked him because Greg has pretty much had the same injury that Nick Chubb has had, and Greg seems to think that he's going to come back. And I said to myself, I said, if anybody could do it, Nick Chubb is the guy that can come back. Greg, let me ask you this, and I know we can't hold you too long, but looking at this team, I mean, again, you talked about it. You 11 wins, and then you 3 wins. Address this quarterback situation. I mean,
that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, I mean, give me your thoughts on. Give us your thoughts on that.
Sure.
Well, I first of all, I would like to get an explanation from whoever made the decision to draft Watson. I'm not saying he can't play, but for somebody, well, what they paid him and what they gave up, he was a hell of a player to them. So what has happened? I know he's been hurt. I think the line got him beat up a little bit. But I don't know if we go back to Watson. I'm not really real through on Winston. You know, Winston showed you he can move the offense. He's the only guy that's moved this offense. He just seemed to shoot himself in the foot by throwing ill-advised passes. But I think that might be fixable. I think, don't they have the little earplugs in your ears on the football field that you can talk to somebody?
Well, yeah, but they didn't. We never had them, but they, obviously they have them today.
I think they have them today. So if not, you got to assign somebody, offensive lineman, or one, and say, all right, you got to keep pronouncing out loud. Here's the situation. You know, it's 2nd and 8. We don't have to get the whole 8 unless it's there. But we don't need to force something to get 8 yards when we got 3 more plays to do it.
Right.
And so in those situations, you got to keep reminding him, to be a little bit more patient. But that's a problem. That's got to be resolved. We, first of all, Hanford, it's your 11 got to be whoever you playing 11. And that's each position. My quarterback got to be better than your quarterback. My running back got to be better than your running back. My DB got to be better than your DB. That's first of all. So you got to go down the roster and make sure in the AFC North, in those 11 positions for those 3 teams, that our guys can play better than their guys. And we got some hell of a quarterbacks in the AFC North.
Greg, what do you think the Browns should do with that number 2 pick?
I thought about it and I wanted to go both ways. I would, first of all, if I was going to go with a quarterback, I don't think he can play right away. I don't think the class of quarterbacks is as good this year coming out as it's been in the past. So that's going to determine what they're going to do. I think we need a veteran quarterback. I don't know where we're going to get him from or how we can get him, but we need that. We kind of need both. We need a young quarterback to take over for the veteran quarterback. We got those guys. We already got him. Let them fight for the third or the backup or even for the starting job. But they're here. We spent the money, and for some reason you drafted them. Let's see if some of that is still there. I don't know that. I don't go in the training room or the weight room. I don't know that part of it. But Watson, you can't do anything with Watson. Watson, the way his contract is written, he's going to be on the roster.
Greg, come on. I know you think one of those 2 guys at quarterback, not talking about Jameis, DTR.
I'm not talking about that.
Hey, did you see that mess? I mean, between those 2 guys, I mean, it was crazy. I'm looking at it, I said, neither one of these guys are ready.
When I see them in my mind, I see myself trying to cross that freeway.
Yeah.
It's just moving too fast for them. It's moving too fast. And people, when you show signs of being slow on coverages, that coach on the other side, that's all you're gonna see. You're gonna test your mental capacity to be able to go down the line on first read, second read, third read, and not no turnovers.
Well, we know you have to go because you and I and Gab and Pat, we'll sit here and we could chop this thing up and just talk about this forever because this is a mess that we have right here.
So entertaining, though. Yeah. We got to call him Coach Pruitt or something because he's just got so much.
That's the problem. He don't know enough to coach. They gonna go get their friends and all that. You know, we won't even get into that. You know, we will not even get into that. You know.
Well, I mean, you know, like you can change positions and have titles, but the product that you gonna tell who's calling the plays.
There it is. There it is.
I tell people all the time, I don't just watch the Browns, and very seldom am I surprised about a play that they call that was a good play.
Hey,
Philadelphia. Sometimes you don't have to try to fool somebody. Philadelphia is a primary example. They run that short yardage. Everybody in the world know they're gonna run it. So what? We running so good, ain't nothing you can do about it. So my point is, why don't you go shotgun on fourth? First of all, on fourth down and half a yard, and you pitch the ball and go loud.
It's ridiculous.
I don't understand that.
Yeah. Hey, King. You know, I gotta ask you this quick question. Did you see the Ravens Browns game? Did you see Big Michael Pierce when he intercepted?
Yeah. Hey, listen. He just happened to drop in the right place at the right time because the quarterback didn't see him. The quarterback actually threw a bad pass. He threw it behind the receiver.
Yeah. And King Pierce was just too big to run anymore. He said,
345 pounds. Hanford, Greg, that guy was 345 pounds. Yeah. Did you see the little slide?
Hey, you ain't got to tell me. That's what he said.
Yeah.
He was bigger than that.
As soon as he saw, I think, how much more he had to go, he was like, let me get this slide in real quick.
Hey, Hanford.
Yeah.
He wouldn't make it through a Forest Grade camp. He would go 340.
We got to get him out of here, Gab.
We got to get you out of here, Greg. Thank you so much for coming on. Always such a pleasure.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, man, appreciate it, King.
We appreciate you. Take care. We'll be back with more Hanford Dixon Show right after this. Welcome back to the Hanford Dixon Show. It is so awesome to have Greg back on. He's so funny. You guys together are just great.
Gab, he you could tell during the whole time. I mean, I could just sit up and talk to him, and
he tells it like it is.
He has me laughing the whole time. And again, when I came into the league, Greg had obviously been in the league a few years, and I was just a little young pup, and I would look up and I would see these guys, and my eyes would get all big and stuff. And because then I think it was guys like Greg Pruitt and Lyle Zato. You remember that name? You probably don't know him, but he used to play. Lyle played for the Browns. He was like a defensive lineman. I thought he had lost his mind, man. This guy was something else. He was really good, but he was just crazy. But these guys, and this. My first year was a guy named Brian Sipe, who was the quarterback, and I was just coming in, and I was looking at all these guys, but I still thought I was this hot shot first round draft pick coming into to play professional football against these guys, and they used to look at me, and I was acting like I was the shit, man. Excuse the language. We
already know you were acting like you're the shit.
Pat, you could cut that one up.
Yeah, we can cut that later. But there's some incredible names on there. Dick Ambrose, Clay Matthews.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you look on the offensive side, Ozzie, obviously, Brian Sipe, Reggie Rucker, Doug Deacon.
Listen to
Doug
this.
Deacon as a tight end.
Listen to this.
Wow.
Listen to this. People talk about Clay Matthews, but we also, on the other side, we had a linebacker from USC, a guy by the name of Chip Banks, was just absolutely phenomenal as far as a linebacker was concerned. I'm telling you, this guy, you talking about good, he was really, really good. But Chip, you never know what those California guys, you never know what they were thinking. Now that I think about it, both of the guys at outside linebacker was from California, because Clay Matthews and Chip Banks. So I think both of them were from California.
Cali dudes.
And then we had I remember guys like Dave Pazzulli and Big Daddy Carl Harrison and guys like that on the defensive line, and it was, and of course my boy, Mighty Minnie, and we had a guy, guys, I'm going to get sad here. We finally drafted a guy named Don Rogers, who was a free safety. This kid, Don was from, was he from UCLA? He was either from UCLA or Southern California, but he was from somewhere out there. And obviously Donnie died from overdose, but a great athlete. I mean, just an absolutely great athletes. But we had a lot of good players on our football team. That's why pretty much every year we had a couple of years. I think we went 5-11, but other than that, we were pretty much in the thick of things every single year. We were pretty much in the playoffs, and that's why this time of year in the National Football League is just so exciting because, like again, I watched the game yesterday talking about Detroit and Minnesota. It was just that whole atmosphere, like it was a playoff atmosphere. Did you see those fans? Anybody watching that game, Pat? Did you see the fans? Was it crazy or
it was
what?
Nuts.
I mean, it was just crazy. It was nuts to see those guys and how. And trust me, the fans know we know them. We know we feel them. And I was listening because one of the owners on one particular team, one of the games yesterday, one of the important games, I think this particular owner spent $3 million on tickets. Obviously, they was on the road. And all the tickets that he bought, it was all the tickets right behind their bench. And what he did was he took them back and resold them at a discount to all their fans just to have their fans right there behind them. And see, that's what it's about right now at this time of the year. So it's going to be some very, very good games coming up. Obviously, we still have some college games coming up that's pretty good, but there's nothing like the National Football League and the playoffs. Really.
Yeah, speaking of college football, we saw a pretty good college football game on New Year's, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I feel like he's avoiding this topic or something.
It was a team in crimson, something like that.
Something about roll.
There's a tide, something like high tide. High tide.
Hey, did you guys, let me change this a little bit. Did you guys see that commercial I was telling you guys about?
Yeah,
Is that the funniest thing in the world?
I love that you think it's so funny.
I think of you every time now.
Yeah, the guys
it makes us think of it.
Like, high tide. They're getting off the bus. High tide. And then there's this girl standing beside him, and she's trying to whisper to him and say, it's not high tide, it's roll tide. And he's still got the tag on the back of his hat that she put. But you can notice I'm trying to distract things from that.
Yeah, you're really.
It ain't going to work.
God damn it, you will get me going talking about this game. You know I'm going to get mad because I tell everybody, especially Ohio State fans, don't worry. We're going to do something you guys couldn't do. We're going to take care of Michigan for you. Shit. I mean, Michigan, but that's all right. Well,
How you feeling now?
Not too good because.
Should they be in the playoff?
Well, I'm waving.
That's different.
I am waving the flag. That's all I'm going to say. I am waving the flag. Alabama was. That's why I'm behind. I'm giving Ohio State a lot of credit. Ohio State should win the national championship. So don't be getting on my case, talking about no damn Michigan. And every time I think about it, you see I'm starting to sweat in here right now.
That's the mic drop for you, Hanford. Yeah. We'll catch you next week on the Hanford Dixon Show. Thanks for watching.